We're not officially live until we get our theme song going. So if you guys are seeing this, it's not real. It's not real. You don't see anything. You can't see me. Do the John Cena. Where are you? There you are. And now we're actually live. Whew. All right. Can't forget this. The important part. Oh! How are you boys doing today? Everybody rocking and rolling? Feeling good? You ready to learn some secrets? Some real secret stuff. You know, I mentioned this earlier in the Discord community, but I've never actually taught any of this stuff publicly. I've only ever told my actual coaching clients about this stuff because we have to go deep. But today, I'm feeling nice. I'm feeling generous. Today, I'm giving away all the inside secrets for free. Merry Christmas or something. Anyway, it looks like we got some people getting in here. Let's go ahead, turn this down, and get started. So, welcome. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the very best part of your week. It's called Live with Jack. Hi, I'm Jack. And today, I'm going to be teaching you about how to attract women no matter who you are. I'm going to take you step by step through exactly how to make yourself ultimately attractive to the kind of women who you actually want to meet so that you can attract them naturally and easily. And most importantly, succeed at it. Not just think about it, not just navel gaze, but actually put this into practice, go out in the world and start to meet these women. And then turn that into real relationships. If that sounds great, then you're in the right place. But if you would like to truly enjoy today's lesson, if you would like to get the most out of this, to truly reach the height of humanity, the culmination of all of civilization, then all you need to do is grab your glass, your mug, your flask, a chalice, a stein, or even a cask. Raise it high. Let's make a splash. It's time now for our libation bash. Toast the night and enjoy the mood. That was a dirty one. And together now we drink some booze. On your mark, let's not wait. It's cheers with chaps, so don't be late. Cheers. Magnificent, I tell you. Stupendous, superb, wonderful, marvelous, astounding, truly orgasmic even. Now, let's jump into today's lesson. So, where's my pointer marker? Here we go. Good. Today, I'm teaching you step by step how to attract any type of girl, no matter who you are, no matter what your current situation is. It literally does not matter. And I'm about to explain why. The first thing that we need to do is we need to understand your persona. Now, let me explain what a persona even means, right? I'm not talking about personality. I'm talking about persona. This literally means a mask. That's the Latin word for it. Yeah, Latin. The Latin word literally means a mask. And we all use different personas, whatever, everywhere we go, all the time. Why do we use them? Well, we use them for a lot of different reasons. And the easiest way for me to explain what this means and how you use it is that you talk to different people differently. You talk to your boss differently than you talk to your friends, differently than you talk to your grandmother, differently than you talk to the bank teller, right? We talk to different people differently. Why? Because we put on a different part of our personality for them in different situations. For some situations, like, for example, a bank teller or a server at a restaurant or something, you put on basically a totally blank persona. You don't inject any personality. It's just pure social graces, basic manners, things like that. But you don't really try to show much of who you are. That's okay. that's what's expected in that situation. Similarly, whenever you talk to your boss, you're not going to show a lot of your true feelings and true thoughts. You're going to put on the happy smiley face and the, yes, boss, whatever you say, boss, yes, I'm massa, and all that stuff, because that's what you're expected to do in that situation. Now, you can still talk with your boss. You can still show some of your personality, but only certain parts of your personality, right? You don't tell your boss about these live streams that you watch with me. You don't tell him about going out and drinking all that beer all night with me and then going home at 5:30 in the morning only to make it to work by 9 o'clock somehow. You don't mention that part, right? It's true, but we don't talk about that part. The same way that you probably don't swear at your grandmother, but you will swear at your friends. Both parts of your personality are true, but they're different sides of it. So I have to explain this so that you understand none of what I'm telling you here, none of this, absolutely 0% of this is try to be someone else, or try to pretend that you are someone you're not. That's not what this is at all. All of this is about figuring out how to show the side of yourself that a girl, a specific girl, needs to see in order to be attracted to you. That is what we're doing. That is what we're building. So it has strategic use, but it also has utility. This is important because as we figure out which parts of ourselves to show, we will better understand, well, actually, as we figure out who we want to talk to, we'll better understand which parts of ourselves to show, which helps us do that easier and do that better. And it helps to expedite that process so that she can see the parts of you that she needs to see and all of that. And you might be wondering to yourself, Jack, this all sounds so fucking complicated and so annoying. Why do I have to do this? Let me tell you very quickly, because here's the punchline for today's whole live stream. Design is destiny. Whatever you design, whatever you build for, is what you will get. The inputs you put in will create the outputs you get. This is true in any system, no matter what. And it's same in love, in relationships. Your design is destiny. What you put in is what you will get out of it. So if you just say, fuck it, I'm just going to be myself. I just want somebody who loves me for me anyway. Cool. I wish you the best of luck with that. You don't even know which parts of yourself you're showing to her. You might talk to her like you talk to your grandmother by mistake. Or you might talk to her like you talk to your friends by mistake, because you don't know what you're doing. And if you have no plan in mind and no design whatsoever, well, if design is destiny and you have no design, what's your destiny? That's right. Nothing. It's dog shit. This is why most people fail in relationships. This is why first of all, most relationships are dog shit anyway. And second, the ones that actually do last and turn into a serious long-term relationship or even a marriage, most of those fail too. Why? Because you didn't plan it from the get-go. You didn't know what you were doing. You didn't think ahead. You just wandered in like an idiot off the street, hoping that fate would serve up perfection for you. And guess what? That doesn't happen. It just doesn't happen. So understand that we are doing all of this so that you can be yourself, so that you can be comfortable, so that you can be confident in who you are and in what parts of yourself you're showing her, but also so that it will be attractive to her, because we need both parts of this in order for any of this to work. So, with all that said, let's talk about a couple of practical examples. Yeah, we could go into some practical examples. Sure. So some of the things that I mentioned earlier, like how you talk to different people in your life, or whether or not you swear. Should you swear with a girl on the first date? Well, that depends, doesn't it? What kind of girl are you trying to meet? Should you take her out for drinks on the first date? Well, that depends. What kind of girl are you trying to meet? Should I go to the gym so that I can be more attractive to her? Well, that depends. What kind of girl are you trying to meet? All of these things are practical examples of how you can choose to show different sides of yourself, to act in different ways that are still true, that are still really you, but they're a different part of your personality. Now, you might be thinking to yourself, well, Jack, I'll just show her all of my personality. First of all, no, you absolutely will not, because that's a terrible idea. But second, you can't. You can't show her everything about you on the first date, right? Yeah, of course not, Jack. I mean, over time. Okay, cool. Over time? How? You're not going to get past the first date if you're showing her the wrong side of yourself. You're probably not even going to get the first date if you're not showing her the right part of yourself. This is why this stuff is so important. So understand what your presentation is. Now, if you watched my live stream 2 weeks ago where I gave you a complete blueprint for how to go from being completely single, knowing nothing about women, zero experience with women at all, to having a girlfriend in just several weeks, then one of the steps in there was figuring out your presentation and nailing that. That's what I'm going into today. All of this is that step, just zoomed in closer. I'm teaching you how to actually nail your presentation so that it is maximally attractive to the type of girl you want to meet. Cool. Now that all that's said, if you're still watching, I assume you're on board, you accept what this is, you understand why it's important, and now you want to get into the nitty-gritty, right? Great, let's do it. So, as I just said, in all of those practical examples, the only thing that matters in this, well, two things, but the number one thing that we have to consider, the top thing that we have to consider here is who the hell are you trying to meet? What type of girl are you trying to meet? Now, for you guys who are watching, you've probably already seen the 14 types, right? You've already seen my writing about that, or maybe my video course about that, and you already understand those. If you haven't yet, leave a comment below this right now, and I will comment you the link where you can get the complete guide for free. I'll give that to you, or maybe we can add that into the description after the live stream. It's not in there right now, but if you don't yet have the 14 type guide, I will give that to you totally free. I just want to make sure that you guys have the tools you need in order to succeed. But we need to understand the types. And we're going to go into, in a minute, the difference between types and avatars and actual individuals on the ground. Understanding the types helps us to build around a grander idea, a more top-down view of this is generally the type of girl I want to meet. And that's great because we can build to a general psychological and social profile. These types of girls tend to like these kinds of things, tend to act in these kinds of ways, tend to care about these types of things. This is why understanding the types first is very important. So if we choose a type, I don't know, let's say a worker bee type. Okay, cool. If we're trying to attract worker bees, the things that you do to attract worker bees will not attract many of the other types. They will absolutely turn off attention whores. They will absolutely turn off sluts. They will most likely turn off husband hunters. But they might have overlap with some other types like the friend or the shy girl or something like that. So there are types that have overlaps, but also any action you take or any side of yourself that you show, literally anything you do, is going to attract some types of women and repel other types of women. So accept that, and this is why, again, planning it and figuring out what we're doing is very important because we want as many things overlapping in the positive column for this type of girl that we can possibly achieve. So again, if we're using the example of, say, a worker bee, cool. Which side of myself should I show a worker bee? Well, I should probably talk about this part of my personality, or I should show this thing, or I should act in this way. Now, each one of those is going to repel other types, but it doesn't matter because I'm focused here on trying to maximize my positive attractiveness to this one type of woman. Okay? Are we making sense so far? I hope so. I'm going to give some more examples in a minute, but first, we just need to understand the types. Now, the second thing that we want to look for is we want to create an avatar. Now, if you've ever worked in any kind of marketing or sales, or honestly, any sort of business where you are dealing with people who buy things at some point, then you've probably had to create a customer avatar or an ideal customer profile, an ICP, something like that. We're basically doing the same thing here. We're creating an avatar of who it is that we're trying to attract. So we're going to list out some of the traits, some of the characteristics that we want our girl to have. Now, I know that this is going to sound like a wish list. And it's going to feel like that at first too. It's going to feel like you're just like, yeah, oh yeah, I want a girl who's 96 pounds and double D titties. Absolutely. Oh yeah. Dude, she's independently wealthy. She comes from money. She's, loosely related to the Kennedys. So you can make your wish list if you want, but we're going to be getting rid of most of that wish list in just a second, because what we're doing is we're trying to create a realistic version of her, and this is important, and we have to have a priority hierarchy. So if the most important thing to you is that she is a virgin with big tits, like, okay, cool. If that's actually my highest priority, then that means I'm willing to sacrifice everything else. She could be a 2, but if she's a virgin with big tits, I'll take it, right? So you need to actually have a priority hierarchy of, on this list, first of all, how many are actually reasonable, right? If I said she's loosely related to the Kennedys, that's unrealistic. Now, if I said she has big tits, like, okay, cool, but how important is that to me? Is that actually more important than somebody who is patient, who's understanding, who's fun to be around, who's funny, who's interesting, who's well-read, whatever else it is that's on your priority list? You need to figure out where those lie, and then just take the top 5, because that's literally all that matters. That top 5 is now your new wish list. This is what you're aiming for. Now, the chances that you meet somebody who nails every single one of those things and is the right type and is perfectly attracted to you, better odds than if you were just coming into this blind, but we're actually creating a wish list of 5 characteristics or traits and seeing how they stack up. Now, again, priorities, right? So put the most important one at the top. But, if she nails 3 out of the 5, like, that's pretty good. And if she gets like 3.5 or 4, then that's an excellent match. We aren't looking for perfection here. We're looking for a good match. Now, a good match doesn't necessarily mean that you're 100% perfect for one another. We're not looking for exact yin and yang. We're looking for a good match, good enough. So we have our avatar. We understand the type. We have our avatar, and we know our priorities. Now, it's time to talk about the differences here between the archetypes, which is just a fancier word for the types, the 14 types. These are all archetypes, overarching personality conceptions, not an actual person. Even though, fun fact, all 14 of the types are actually based on a girl who I dated who I felt really nailed that personality type. And that's what helped me to write it. And so, yeah, they kind of are based on real people. But in your conception of them and how you should look at them, it's not a real person. It's more of a concept, an ideal. So we have our archetypes, which is an overarching personality type. And then we have the avatar. And the avatar is, if any of you guys are old enough or nerdy enough to have seen the movie Weird Science, then you'll know exactly what I mean by avatar, where these 2 guys were able to create, like, through this magical computer program or whatever, they were able to create their perfect woman, and then poof, she appeared, right? So that's your avatar. This is the ideal version, but it's, again, not real, because this isn't reality. It's perfect, and no human is perfect. Everybody, yes, even your dream girl, she burps, she farts, she shits, she sleeps, she fucks, she does all the normal things that every human does. So, except that it's not exactly perfect. So this is why we have to consider the individuals and what is and isn't a good match for you. Now, depending on how much dating experience you have, your avatar might be actually perfect for you. But if you don't have a whole lot of experience, there's a very good chance that you think there are some traits or qualities that are very important to you that actually, once you start dating, you'll find out that they aren't that important to you, or maybe even that you don't find them desirable at all in reality. So understand that this ideal, this avatar here, this is a living, breathing thing that's going to change the more experience you get and the more you get out there and actually talk to girls and date them. But it's still important for us to know who it is that we are gearing all of this toward, so that we can now begin actually crafting and refining your persona. So, how do we go about doing this? Well, the first thing that you need to do is you need to say, like, okay, cool. Whenever I first meet people, whenever I first talk to people, whenever I'm on a first date, whenever I first get introduced to someone, whatever situations you've been in, whatever social situations you've had in the past, even if they haven't been in a romantic context, what do you tend to talk about? What do you tend to say? What do you tend to show about yourself? Because those are the things that you generally tend to go towards. Whatever they are, it doesn't matter. For me, one of the things that I tend to talk about, especially when I'm first meeting someone, is either dating, it's my job, or music, it's my old job. So, cool. With that in mind, I need to think about the topics that I usually go to and the parts of myself that I usually show. So again, for me, probably the outgoing parts that are like, oh, I think that I'm funny, so I'm going to be cracking jokes. Okay, cool, neat. What kind of jokes? Ooh, that's a hard one, right? So again, the more specific we can get with creating the persona, the better. Because if you just say something like, oh, I know, I'll just be funny. Okay, cool. What kind of jokes are you going to make? Well, you could use puns. You could use wordplay. You could use dirty jokes. You could use toilet humor. You could use cultural references. You could use any number of things to be funny. But those different types of humor and those different types of jokes are going to be attractive to different types of people. So your prudes and your shy girls are going to be more interested in the puns because it's more of like the dad humor, the stuff that they're used to with their family and their close friends, right? But if you're talking more about worker bees or about husband hunters, maybe making more wordplay jokes that use a little bit of the cultural reference in there is going to work better for you. Or maybe using some more observational humor, something that shows that you're more experienced. Or maybe you're just talking to an alcoholic, in which case, go for the toilet humor. The dick and fart jokes, they're classics. Never get old, man. And the alcoholics love them, right? If you're trying to attract attention whores, cultural references all the way, right? If you say something like, oh man, did you hear what he said to her? That reminds me of that diss track from Kendrick. Then she's going to be like, yeah, I get that, yeah. And you're going to connect with her and it's going to resonate with her. That is exactly a perfect example of you using humor, which is too general of a word, but you using a specific cultural reference to show that you are in alignment with her. The whole point of this persona, all of this stuff, the whole point of it is to show, not to tell, that you two are in alignment. Now, this is a very important point here. You might not be, and that's okay. Our goal with this is not to be in alignment with the girl in front of us. Our goal is to be in alignment with this girl, which may or may not be the girl in front of you. If you do a good job of crafting this, you will naturally attract this girl and repel the girls who are not a match to this. This is very important. You are going to lose probably 90+% of the girls you talk to. That's okay. That's actually really good. Can you imagine having a 10% success rate with the girls that you talk to? Because most people just in general are closer to around 0%. Oh, did my camera shut off? Oh, well, fuck it. It's either working or it's not. Unimportant. But most people are closer to 0%. And if you're not aiming at anything and you're just aiming at general, or you just say, but this girl's in front of me, so I want to show that I'm the same as her and I'm just like her and she should like me and she should talk to me and she should touch my willy at the end of the night. If that's what you're doing, you're going to come off as incredibly needy and desperate and you're going to lose 100% of them. So instead, what you should do is aim for that 10% success rate, which is incredibly high, But that also means that you're going to lose 90% of them. And we're going to lose those 90% intentionally because we are crafting our persona, our outward public image to attract this person and nobody else. Anybody who doesn't fit this, sorry, so long, goodbye. And that's good. Now, with that said, let's actually talk about how you do that. So, what we're aiming for here is aligning frequencies. Now, this is more of a visual way to understand it, is you're not going to get 100% alignment with the girl that you're talking to, even if it's the perfect avatar and all that. You're not going to be 100% in alignment. Instead, what you're aiming for is you're aiming for general alignment. Think about it like matching frequencies. So if you're a radio receiver, you're trying to, if you guys are old enough to have used a dial tuner for a radio receiver, then you'll know what I mean, where as you come closer to the transmission signal, you're never going to get 100% transmission signal. That's not a thing. That's not how that works. But if you have 90%, man, you hear it all perfectly and it's fine. And that's what we're aiming for here. So we're aiming to align the frequencies mostly, not so that they're 100% on with one another, because also that would be weird. It would be like kind of twins thing, and you don't want that either, right? But we do want a little bit of tension there, a little bit, but we're aiming to just line up mostly. Now, again, part of the reason that you won't ever be able to align 100% is because you have different experiences in life. You have different views on the experiences that you have had. And that is a good thing to have a little bit of tension there. But to have a lot of overlap is what we're aiming for. And not just a lot of overlap with the person in front of you, but again, with this person so that we naturally attract her. So we're aiming to align frequencies for the most part. The next thing that we need to talk about here is proper targeting. Because if I'm dressing up in a smart jacket and a good suit every day, and I'm trying to meet that worker bee, she's on it, she's so career focused, right? And so I'm going out to the nightclubs every night of the week. What are you doing? What are you doing? She's not here. That's not where this girl goes. And if you're going to the wrong places and then you get frustrated that well, no girls like me, so it's clearly a problem with me. No, your strategy is off, right? Your strategy is way off. So you do need to pay attention to make sure that you're targeting correctly. If you did a good job of understanding who the type is, who your avatar is, who it is that you're trying to meet, then you should be able to fairly easily figure out okay, cool. Well, this type of girl is most likely to go to this kind of place, or she's most likely to be around this area, or she's most likely to be near these kinds of people. Cool. Put yourself in those situations so that you have more chances to actually meet the right girl, to show her that you are the right guy for her. Now, another thing to consider here, and this is kind of part of the avatar. This is an extra bonus here. Something else that you do need to consider is, what is she looking for? Because just like when we were creating the avatar, we were getting into her head to figure out what are the traits, what are her hobbies, what does she like to do, all that stuff. We should also pay attention to what is it that she's looking for, because that will help us to better craft what we need to in order to be able to align frequencies. So, like in the example that I gave with the attention whore, we're yeah, of course she's going to want somebody who understands current pop culture references, who understands that, the Kendrick and Drake diss track battle was this week. Okay, cool. Someone who's up on that. That's going to be important to her. She wants somebody who follows along with that. She wants somebody who pays attention to social media trends. She wants somebody who cares about how they look, how they present themselves in public. Awesome. That's a good thing to know. So if you're trying to attract that girl, you can't go out looking like me. That doesn't work for you. You have to actually pay attention to what it is that she wants and needs and find a way to provide that and show her, not tell her. So it needs to be obvious to her that you are the kind of guy who she wants to meet. Now, quick little side note. Does this mean that in order to meet hot girls, I myself have to be stinking beautiful? No, clearly not. But it would certainly help. And doing something like taking care of your body, doing a bit of exercise, hitting the gym even for just 30 minutes 3 times a week is going to get you leagues ahead of someone like me who doesn't, especially if you're trying to meet that type of girl. Now, the types of girls that I care about and the things that are important to me right now are not in alignment with that type of girl. So I'm not trying to align my frequencies with her. But if you are, if you're trying to nail that smoking 10 from the nightclub, you need to also be in that same style. You need to be aligning your frequency with hers, not just the things you say and the things you talk about. All of the parts need to be in alignment. So whenever it comes to physical appearance, you have to, again, align your frequencies. If you are trying to meet somebody who cares a lot about fashion, you have to care at least a little bit about fashion, about how you look, about how you come off. That's never been an important thing to me. I don't give a shit about fashion, and I'm not trying to align myself with people who do. So what do? Well, I clearly don't care much about fashion, but I have a very specific fashion sense that is designed to attract people who like my childish and silly sense of humor. That is by design. The stupid hats, the pink hat, the fucking shark, right? Like all of this stuff. This is all intentionally designed. The shirt that looks like I'm carrying a kitten in a baby Bjorn, intentionally designed and bought and purchased to attract a specific type of girl. Because I am showing outwardly, this is my frequency on the physical level. Now, let me show you how much more in alignment we are on all of these other parts too. So this is what I mean by crafting and refining your persona. Each part that you could possibly think of that's going to be important to her and is something that you can reasonably show. And even things that you don't think of that wouldn't be important to her, but are important to you. So like my music stuff, she's not going to ask about that. Nobody would ever ask, are you a musician? That's not a thing, but it's something that I know I'm going to talk about. Cool. So how do I talk about that? This is a great example of how talking about something that is absolutely true. All of this is true, which is important because we aren't faking anything. We aren't lying. We aren't trying to be someone that we're not. We're not doing any of that, but we're changing how we present it. So a great example of this is my music stuff. If I'm trying to attract girls who I think are going to be more interested in classical music or in music as a pursuit or a passion, then I'm going to tell them that I majored in trumpet performance. I'm going to tell them about the orchestras I've played with. I'm going to tell them about the musicals that I play with in the summer. I'm going to tell them about my experiences with that because that's going to align with their frequency for things that are important to them, to things that they find cool and interesting. But that same version of talking about my music is absolutely going to turn off the alcoholic because she's going to be like, what the fuck, man? Are you one of those nerds? Are you a narc? Are you going to tell on me for doing a line in the bathroom? Like, get out of here, band nerd. Okay, cool. That's fine. Whenever I talk to the alcoholic, I'm going to tell her about the different bars that I played at and how I love doing sing-alongs. And maybe if she's lucky, I'll bring her back and I can do a sing-along together with her over a bottle of whiskey. Okay, cool. Now I'm aligning my frequencies with the alcoholic. But that would be an incredible turnoff to the girls I mentioned before, but also to the much more status-driven attention whore. So if I'm talking to an attention whore or somebody like that who's maybe like a materialist or a gold digger or potentially even a husband hunter, depending on the type there, then I might talk about the different famous people that I've played with. I might talk about the albums I've been on. I might talk about my music videos. I might talk about my social media presence with music. I might show her some of that stuff instead. Again, all of these things are true, but they're all going to be attractive to different types of women because I am aligning what I'm saying and what I'm talking about and how I'm talking about it to her frequency, to what's going to matter to her. Even if I had my guitar out, I would play a different song depending on what type of girl I thought it was. Would I play Bruno Mars for her? Or would I play a classical piece? Or would I play Blackstreet and Dr. Dre for her? What would I play for these different types of girls? What's going to align with them and actually resonate to them? This is the same idea. And you're doing this with all of the different things that you normally talk about. So whatever maybe top 3 to 5 topics you would normally bring up in a conversation where you first meet someone, You want to think, all right, cool. Given this topic, what is best to align with her frequency, with her? This is the her. Every time, this is the her. Whoever you created here, this is the her. What's best to align with her frequency and what matters to her? Cool. If the answer is nothing, throw that topic out. So here are some topics that I never talk about on first dates. Video games. I love video games. I spend way too many hours playing video games. Never talk about it on first dates. D&D. Famously, I think I'm the only person in our community who actually likes and enjoys D&D and plays it regularly. And still, even though I'm famous for being that nerd, I never talk about it on first dates. Why? Because there's no way to align the frequency there. It's not because that topic itself is bad. It's not because I'm ashamed or trying to hide any part of myself. That's not it. It's that there's no alignment there. It would be like her trying to talk to me about her favorite makeup brand. I would be like, okay, cool. I don't know what that is. I have literally heard of Maybelline and that's fucking it. I think one of the Jenner girls does makeup or something like that. That's how unaligned that topic would be for me. So similarly, if you like to talk about topics that instantly shut girls down, cryptocurrency, international banking and finance, high-level political discussions, advances in current technology, unless she brings up any of these or gives you some signal that this is something she's interested in, you skip those topics entirely. Because again, there's just a very low chance that you're going to have any sort of alignment there. So find 3 to 5 topics that you can reliably talk about that are going to be in alignment with this girl, right? Now, we have proper targeting. The next thing is feedback. Feedback. Take feedback. Whenever you try something, you go out and you talk to a girl and you think to yourself, hey, this girl, she seems to align pretty well with my avatar. Awesome. Let's chat. And then you start talking and all of your conversation topics fall flat. Then probably you have done a poor job of aligning your frequencies or you have completely misunderstood who this person is. Either one of those could be the case. So you have to test different things. Try. Take the feedback from her. It's not personal. It's not bad. It's good. This is the process. This is learning. This is improving. This is getting better at being you for the girl who you want to meet, right? If you want to meet this girl, do you want her to be happy? Yes, I assume so. Cool. Because you want her to stay with you. So that means that she should be happy to be with you, right? Okay, cool. So you are literally getting better at being the man who can make her happy. That's what you're doing whenever you take feedback and you adjust the way that you present topics, the way that you talk about topics, the humor that you use, the things that you talk about, all of that stuff. As you're taking the feedback and improving on it, you are becoming the kind of man who is going to make her happy so that she can make you happy so that you can actually have a good relationship and stay together, right? Yes. Okay, good. Because our aim is not to reach perfection, but to adjust towards it. Now, I mentioned this earlier whenever I was talking about frequencies, but you never want to be in perfect alignment. You always want to have a little bit of dissonance. You want to have a little bit of tension. And this is very important in any relationship. There should be some push and pull. There should be some difference of opinion, some difference of interest, some disagreements about things. That's good. I'm not talking about arguments, fighting, knockdown, dragouts, bullshit like that. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about things like whenever I make fun of my wife for liking Marvel movies. I'm like, they haven't been good since what? Before Civil War? Right? Like they've just been shit since the original Avengers. That was probably the last really good one. Right? And then since then it's just been absolute trash. And I make fun of her for it. I tease her. That's okay. We still go see them. It's important to her. It's something we can go do. I can still enjoy them. I don't have to hate them and think that they're actually garbage. I just think they should be better. And so I can tease her about it. I can make fun of it. There's a little bit of tension there. Same thing whenever we see restaurants and she sees a line out the door, I always tease her because she says, oh, it's a long line. It must be really good. Or, oh, it's totally full. It must be really good. And that is not obvious to me. So I make fun of her for that. I tease her for that. She teases me for shit too. That's good. There should be some tension, not a lot, but some. There should still be some back and forth and some disagreement. Because again, we aren't aiming for perfection. We are adjusting towards it. We're trying to better align ourselves with this girl so that we can share a lot of those things. And then we can talk about how we feel about them. And it doesn't have to be exactly the same. So that's our goal in all of this, in the crafting and refining process, is to figure out how to better align ourselves with this target avatar. Now, let's go on to basically the caveats that you need to deal with to find actual alignment. Because there is, like I said earlier, there is the archetype of the type, the women, the general idea. There's the avatar, which is the perfect version that you built in your head, which is not real. And there's the actual individual who you meet and talk to in front of you. There is also similarly, there is the persona you think you are showing. There is the persona who she sees and perceives, which is not necessarily the same as the first one, because her perception of what you're putting out there is going to be different than your perception of what you're putting out there. And then there's finally the third one, which is you at your core, the things that make you you. These are your core beliefs and priorities. These are the most important things to you, whatever they are. And this, I'm definitely not talking about titties here. Like, I love titties too, but that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about your actual core beliefs, your principles, your guiding light, the thing that drives you, the thing that stops you from doing certain things and makes you do other things. That core of you should never be violated through any of this, or through anything that she says or does. So you have boundaries. The core of you is walled off. It cannot be touched. It cannot be broken, because these are the things that you truly believe and hold in your mind as the most important things. These never change. We are not lying in any of this, and we are not hiding any of our core beliefs, principles, and priorities. All of this is visible in everything that we do all the time. This is not a thing that we need to actively show, that we need to tell. This is simply who you are and how you behave. So this needs to never be violated by anything here. So don't lie. By anything here where you think you should want something, but you actually kind of want something else, but you don't want to admit that you want that other thing because society or your mom or your brother or me told you that you should want this thing instead. Fuck that. Fuck me, fuck your mom, fuck society, fuck everybody. The thing that's actually true to you, that needs to absolutely remain true to you. Should not be violated here. Anything she says, she does. If she asks you, hey, I need you to stop being you. I need you to stop acting this way. No, fuck her. Even if she's perfect in every other way, that's an absolute deal breaker. No, this never gets violated. That is crucial, because this is what gives you the congruence to be able to put on different masks, to put on your persona, your work persona, your grandma persona, your girlfriend persona, all of that stuff. The only way any of it works is if this stays absolutely rock solid. Now, the next thing we're looking for here, we're looking for the Goldilocks zone. I kind of mentioned this one earlier here in the moving towards perfection, which is that we want to be in mostly alignment, but not 100%, not perfectly. We're looking for that not too hot, not too cold, that area there where we can still have some good push and pull, some growth together, some change, because you're not perfect the way you are. And she's not perfect the way she is. And being with her, with this girl, your ideal girl, should change you, should make you a better version of you. And similarly, her being with you should change her and make her a better version of herself. So we aren't aiming for perfect alignment. We're aiming for that Goldilocks zone where you can both grow and learn from each other together as partners. Great. Love that. Now, the last thing here is constant updates and improvements, because even if you're with somebody for a long period of time, I've been married for nearly 5 years now, and we still are constantly changing. Things that are important to me now weren't as important to me 5 years ago. Things that are important to her now weren't as important to her 5 years ago. So obviously, as we change, the different things that we find alignment on are going to change as well. The different things that we talk about, the way that we deal with them, the way that we even deal with one another, the way that we talk about things with one another, that changes over time. But the important thing is you change together. So whether you're moving this way or you're moving this way, you're staying roughly in this Goldilocks zone the whole time. And if you ever find that you're getting out of alignment, which is usually what happens as relationships start to break down and you start losing feelings or things like that, that's actually just the two of you getting out of alignment, then you need to figure it out. Either pull her into alignment with you or get into alignment with her. Or even better, find something else that you can align on, because the things that matter now may not matter in the future. So maybe you care a lot about something now, or like future now, and she has lost interest in that thing. Cool. I bet there's something else that we can find alignment on. That's what you do. And you're constantly adjusting, you're constantly improving, because this is an intentional process, but it becomes a process that is second nature. This is important because I realize as I'm going through all this stuff, it sounds like a huge pain in the ass and like a lot of mental legwork and a lot of bullshit to go through just for some broad, oh, who cares? But here's the thing, is that once you start doing it, once you accept and understand these things, and then you start actually putting it into practice, it becomes second nature. If somebody asked you, actually, by the way, one of the most difficult things in robotics is getting a robot to walk like a human walks. The reason for that is because it is so incredibly complex that if you think this is difficult, if you think this is complex, try creating a set of instructions for exactly what to do to just walk. It's very, very difficult, but it's now second nature to you. You don't have to think about it. It's just a thing you do. And guess what? If the wind starts blowing really heavily one way, you adjust naturally, because once this is second nature, the constant updates and adjustments are just, again, second nature. It's the natural thing to do. You stay together because you always know how to do that, because you figured this stuff out and this stuff out along the way, because you realize on that day, May 9th, 2024, that design is fucking destiny. And if you design it, and if you plan it, and if you do it correctly, you literally get to choose your destiny. You get to choose your dream girl. You get to actually attract her naturally. Not lying, not trying to flex muscles, not trying to buy bottles at the club, not trying to make it rain or any stupid bullshit like that, not trying to rent a Ferrari for a day so you can do a photo shoot and pretend that you're fucking Fabio. No, it's by doing things naturally that are going to align with her because you designed it. And that is your destiny. You get to actually meet her and start a relationship with her and keep her and be happy together, because design is destiny. So, I told you the punchline at the beginning, right? And all of it comes back together. If you follow these steps, literally no matter who you are, you will be able to attract the type of woman who you want to meet. And you'll actually be able to get together with her, stay together with her, and both of you will be happier for it. Or you can just fuck off, go back to the hub, and wait for fate to drop it in your lap, which isn't going to happen. So, those are your two options. This takes maybe 5-6 hours of like concerted thinking and work about it, and then a few weeks of actual practice. So it's not nothing. It's not an insignificant time investment, but comparing a couple of weeks of effort to the rest of your life alone, I don't know. Like, one of those seems like a really great deal to me. And if you're not sure about what to do, if you don't know where to get started, comment into the section now. We'll send you a link to our completely free community where you can get direct access to me, to all of the other guys around the world, where we can help you and guide you through all this stuff I'll also send you the 14 types guide so that you'll actually understand the archetypes of women, understand who it is that you're trying to attract, all that stuff. All you have to comment below this video is help, or I love you, Jack, or what the fuck are the 14 types, or pretty much anything, because I can see the comments right here live as we go through this. And we have beautiful assistants who are going to help me do all of that stuff if needed. Speaking of beautiful assistants, let's go ahead and bring them in for our favorite part of the week, which is the live Q&A. You ready, Big Paul?
What's up?
How you doing, buddy?
Doing
Simba,
great.
Hello.
I heard your voice and he started barking. Simba, do you want to come say hi? Simba, you want to come say hi to Uncle Paul? Okay, come here. Come here, buddy. Let's put the camera down. How are you boys doing?
Listening to your lesson for free, Jack.
Sorry, what'd you say?
Listening to your lesson for free.
Yeah, man. Listening to my good stuff. Today I'm giving away the good stuff. Well, who am I kidding? I give away the good stuff every week. Oh, all right. Come here, buddy. Come here. Come here. Yeah. All right. Say hi, Uncle Paul. Hi, Uncle Paul.
How many dogs do you have again?
What?
How many dogs do you have again?
2.
Oh, all right.
Yeah. Simba's the good one. He's the favorite.
Oh, all right.
Yeah. Cool. So
Do you think we should open with the questions?
yeah, we had one submitted through the Discord. And,
yeah, I'll start on that one.
And by the way, for you guys who are watching live, if you have any questions, either on topic or off topic, type them into the comments and we can answer them live on here for you. Go ahead, Paul.
So the question we got submitted today is, how do you deal with girls who have trust issues? My girlfriend is awesome, but I feel like she's holding back because she's been burned by her exes and doesn't want to get burned again. She straight up said to me that she doesn't trust most men.
Yeah, I personally had a couple of acquaintances that had the same problem. Gotta be honest, they were kind of a pain in the ass because even in late nights, maybe when they were awake or something, they will actually try to text me back to see if I was at home. So basically, they will picture me as the guy or their ex that betrayed them or anything like that. Or maybe they have like strong attachment issues. Yeah, but I will personally talk with them about that. I also had one girl in particular that went to the psychologist because of that, because the problem was more serious. But yeah, things didn't work out pretty well for me personally because I couldn't do nothing to show her that I wasn't her ex. Like she had like this image of me being him, which of course isn't true, but to her mind she couldn't like believe that somehow.
Right.
What do you think is the best approach, Jack?
I'm going to go on a rant about this one. So before I do that, Paul, do you want to tag in on this?
Yeah. So my experience with girls that have trust issues, that if that is an overall issue, you are not being there in the way that she needs you to be. However, that doesn't mean that you are doing something wrong. So I would say that yes, you can try to accommodate those issues, but you have to talk about why. And the next thing you do is kind of work it into your personality that you're trustworthy. Like, do the things where you show her that she can trust you.
Yeah,
I
no, but the thing
remember.
is, yeah, I see what you mean, but the thing is, even if you do like, even if you show her traits of being like either extremely friendly or showing her that I'm not that kind of guy, it's like to her, no, it's not like that. You're actually an asshole. all right, in her mind. No matter what you do or what you say, it's like she has put that image of you already set in their mind, which is kind of frustrating because it's like no matter what you say or like how you act towards her, it's like she got that strong PTSD so much so that she doesn't care. She has already viewed you in that
But
way, right?
so what I can say, it's not about how you act towards her. That is
Mm.
not the key component there. So I remember I'm going to take a specific experience where, like, so I have kind of wide boundaries uh, to what I'm allowed to do. So and of course, like, I am in part of this community. If I go out, I'm gonna flirt with girls. I'm gonna have fun, right? And one day, that was my birthday last year, Jack. You remember those girls that wanted to play beer pong with us?
I do. I mean,
And vaguely. So there were two girls. One girl was dead set on either me or Jack. So I said, "Yeah, you can be on my team, right?" And then my girlfriend was there, and it was very obvious that she had also seen that this girl is interested. So like she was a little bit on the fence, right? And then we go over to play, and then the girl that was interested, her friend tries to drag my girlfriend away. And then I'm like, no, that is not okay. So instead of just going about it, instead of telling her, no, you come here, I just went to that other girl and said, if you touch her one more time, then I'm just calling the cops on you. Like, you do not touch my girlfriend.
yeah.
And instead of trying to show her that you can trust me with like, tell my girlfriend that, oh, you can trust me, instead of doing that, when we are in the situation, I just show her where my boundaries are. Like, so that, yes, you can trust me. Like, and that is after, like, we probably were on the second or third bottle of whiskey at that point, right?
Uh,
So, like, then they can feel comfortable that even in a situation like that, you will still do right by her.
mhm.
So that is my opinion about it. It's more about showing in the
So
situations
so
which
basically
makes her
showing the action.
uncomfortable, rather than telling, oh, you can trust me, I will never do something like that, because words doesn't mean anything, actions do.
Right.
Yeah, no, it sounds reasonable.
So I agree with all of that. Um, what Paul is describing there is what I talked about in the lesson. Whenever I said you have certain core beliefs, principles, priorities about yourself that nothing else can touch, and those are unassailable. And those are not things that you plan into your personality. They're simply the core of who you are. And they will come out in the way that you act in everything. A lot of people will use this saying, especially when they talk about like work, but they'll say something like, how you do anything is how you do everything. But that's also very true whenever it's talking about your core beliefs and priorities. So if she sees that you are consistently honest or consistently loyal or consistently keep your word, not just to her, but to your friends. If, she calls you and she says, hey, I'm feeling horny, you want to come over here and fuck? And you're like, very much so, I do. But tonight is Paul's birthday, and I promised him I would be here. So I'm going to be here because this is a thing that I promised I would do. But then, after I have a few bottles of whiskey with him and we celebrate enough, then I'll come over and bang the shit out of you. Okay, cool. That's another important thing of just like, do you keep your word often? Are you reliable in these ways? Now, that's the more kind of conceptual and like specific situations, but you don't want to engineer those situations. So if I found myself in a relationship like this, like our asker presented, where the girl has said this thing out loud and she's brought it up to him, I would do a couple of things. First of all, I would acknowledge that she's being open and sharing with me. because this is a thing that's important to women, right? Like that you acknowledge that they are sharing their emotions. It's really important to them that you see they're being vulnerable with you. Cool. I would do that. I would do two things after that. One, I would appeal to the logical side, but two, I would immediately follow that up by appealing to the emotional. So, to explain how I would do that, I would say something like, look, I totally get it. It sounds like your ex was an asshole. It sounds like things went poorly before. Now, first of all, we both know I'm not him. And I didn't do those things to you. That said, I will try to help you heal from this and move on. And I can tell you all day that you should trust me, but that's not really how trust works. It works like respect, where like we start with a basic amount, but I'm going to have to earn the rest of that. And I get that. I totally understand that. So all you need to do is nothing. Just hang back, hear me, accept whenever I say you can trust me, but then also see whenever I show you that you can trust me. Because there are a million ways that I will show you over time, but I can't do that right now. So we're going to have to extend a little bit of faith to one another, that you're going to give me the chance to show you these things. And I'm going to have to extend a little bit of faith as well, that, or rather, you're going to have to extend a little bit of faith as well, that I'm going to be able to do those things. So let's work together on this, but we're going to come out the other side of this better healed and able to create an even stronger relationship because of the bond of trust that we forge through my actions, not just through my words. All of that, pretty words, flowery stuff, right? Sounds good. But importantly, it nailed on a couple of things, which is one, pointing out the logical thing. I am not your ex. Please don't treat me as if I am. Two, I understand why emotionally you would be inclined to treat me like that. Three, I will not do those things, and I'm going to show you that regularly. Four, pay attention and let's do this thing together so that I can make you feel safe. That's how I would deal with that specific situation, is I would have that talk and make sure that she feels comfortable with things, right? So if, and
Did you
maybe
ever
like,
experience that yourself?
I'm sorry,
Like,
what?
did you ever experience that yourself with some girls maybe in the past?
Yes, I've had girls who had trust issues, but none who came to me saying that they had trust issues. I had girls who had trust issues because they were projecting, like they themselves were cheaters. And so as a result, they didn't trust people because they assumed that everybody, right, like that kind of thing happens. But if a girl is opening up to you and being genuine, like it sounds like this asker is experiencing, then that's how I would deal with it. I would nail those steps down, have that conversation, and maybe find out exactly what the situation was so that you can be sure to avoid anything that even sounds like that situation. Also, you want to make sure that she's not making a mountain out of a molehill. Because if you find out that she's like, yeah, this guy, he absolutely broke my heart. He destroyed all my trust in men forever and ever and ever. And it's like, oh my God, what did he do? And she's like, oh, one day a girl asked to buy him a drink at the bar and he accepted the free drink, right? Like, so seriously, like if it is something that small, then like that's a massive red flag too. So I would find out some more details, not as in like you're interrogating her, but just kind of finding out what to avoid, what kind of, the appearance of impropriety is improper itself. So you want to avoid the appearance at all costs, right? Now, once that trust is established and it's there, then you have a lot more leeway in how you act. So, for example, my wife doesn't care that I go out with the guys. I get wildly drunk. I flirt with every girl I talk to because that's literally all that I do. I talk with them. I'll play beer pong with them. I'll play pool or darts or whatever. We'll chat. We'll have a good laugh. And then I'll be like, all right, see you, bitch. Wow. And I'm out. And so because she knows that, she's like, yeah, I don't care. Right. And he chats. He's just being a dog. Right. It's fine. But it's okay. He comes home every day. It's okay. Because I've proven that I can be trusted, I'm able to do those things. But somebody who
basically just building a reputation through your actions. That's all. That's the thing.
Yeah. And now I want to be kind of careful about how I say this. I didn't build trust so that I could flirt with girls. That's not how this works. I built trust because that is just the person who I am, but also I always stop it there. And so like it's understood that like, yeah, this is just how he acts. This is how he talks, right? Man, by conventional wisdom, I flirt with her mom every time I see her, right? Like if you call it flirting because that's the way that I act, then yeah, I flirt with everybody. But that's why she can trust me to do that and then do nothing else, because this is just how I act. So it's more that like my core is so strong, who I am, the way that I am, the way that I act, and also the actions that I do or don't take at the end of that make up a big part of that. And that's why there's trust there.
Yeah, all right, seems reasonable. That's the thing, because no, with that girl is, I gotta be honest, it's not like I've built like a strong relationship with her. It's not like I dated her so much, so it seems also fair that I didn't even have the time to actually build the trust in the first place. So it actually makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, like you're basically still strangers.
Yeah, no, it's basically an acquaintance. I thought about dating her. We've seen each other a couple of times, but I didn't feel it. That's the thing. Just because she had this kind of thing in her, which I also thought to be a kind of a red flag, because yeah, you say that you have trust issues and stuff, but I don't even know why you have those trust issues in the first place. You could have been in the wrong the whole time. Just like the reason that you said that she has trust issues because of that stupid thing. I don't know, maybe she has trust issues because the kind of people that she goes out with, or the boys that she goes out with, are not the kind one should trust in the first place, if you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, it's very possible that she projects her friend group and their actions onto other people as well, which
I think
natural.
Overall, if you're dating a lot of people, the majority of them are gonna have trust issues on one level or more.
Sure.
Like, it's not like you're gonna go out there and every single person you date won't have trust issues, because everyone has their own things that they deal with. Yeah. Some people it's because of family, some people it's because of boyfriends, some people it's friends, some people it's just they have trust issues because they don't trust themselves. And so like just saying like not getting into it because you feel like having trust issues is a red flag, then you're not going to get very far. Like you need to figure out what is okay and what is not. And it's more about if they have trust issues, how would you, or how do they project them? Like how do they actually show you that they have trust issues? Like
I think another thing to consider here is that based on what Antonio just said, this is a girl who was expressing she had trust issues before they even started dating. That actually is a pretty red flag, right? Like, if that's before you guys even banged or anything, then it's like, yeah, I don't think this is going to work out, right? So there obviously time, context, all of those things play an important role in how you process and deal with issues like that, whatever they are, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Absolutely.
All right, cool. Live stream, people who are watching, if y'all have any questions, now's the time to put them in because we only had that one submission today. Antonio might have one or two more, but if you have questions, drop them in now. Antonio, do you have any questions or any ideas, thoughts, questions, concerns, whatever?
No. About this thing about this girl that I've met and talked to, but no, not really. No, for now,
Tell
no.
us about her. Let's dissect your love life live on YouTube.
So, do we have another question?
No,
Only-
not that was submitted now.
Yeah.
So unless chat has any, then
Oh, all right. The community was pretty silent lately, wasn't it?
Yeah.
No, actually, about my love life, I the more I watch these live streams and stuff with you, and the more I hop on these streams, the more I get my answers questions about how girls work out, right? So it's basically a constant learning process, which I was pretty dumb to most of the lessons that I watched that you have explained because I did exactly the opposite of all these points most of the time. But no, I think I'm good right now.
Okay. Well, I mean, don't feel bad because me too. That's how I learned this stuff is by fucking it up, by doing the opposite, being like, wait a minute, that didn't work. And then trying 1,000 other things and then being like, oh, this makes sense. Now I see why this works, right? So, for better or worse, all of my lessons come at the cost of my experience. And so what I aim to give to guys is the same understanding that I have now, but without the scars that I had to get there, right?
Yeah. One question that I may have about you is how do you deal, let's say, with heartbreak or I don't know, with negative emotions maybe after a heartbreak, or how do you actually manage to keep yourself calm or in a actually good emotional state? Maybe I don't know, maybe after a fight or maybe after a stupid conversation. Of course, it's very generalized because it also depends on the situation. But how? Because I also see a lot of couples doing a lot of stupid stuff. Maybe they're dating and stuff, and just because of a stupid conversation that popped up, they could actually just stop talking to each other altogether.
Okay. So,
I mean, I think it also depends on how you want this person in your life, or how how much you love them in the first place.
maybe. Strangely enough, the amount that you love someone has very little to do with whether or not you stay together after a fight. What's way more important is how the two of you handle conflict resolution. That's actually far more important because two people can be like desperately in love with one another, but if you handle conflict resolution completely differently, like one of them freaks out and yells all the time, and the other shuts down and just goes completely silent, then like, okay, this it's not going to work, right? Let me answer because that was actually a few different questions there. The first one is, how do I deal with heartbreak? Well, the last time that I had a breakup, which is the girl I dated before I met Lady North, I found out that she cheated on me. And when I found out, I called all of my closest friends. And it was like, I don't know, a Tuesday night or a Wednesday night or something like that. It was like a weeknight or something. And I called all of them or I messaged them. And I said, all right, motherfuckers, I'm calling in all the favors. All the times that I've ever bought you beer, all the times that I've ever paid for dinner, that I've ever bought our cab rides, that I've ever anything at all. I'm calling it all in now. You're coming out tonight and you're going to babysit me. Here's the situation. And I told them what it was. And I said, I expect you to be here and I expect you to tolerate me. Like that's all that I ask is you just tolerate me. I'm going to spew bullshit all night long. I'm just, and I'm going to be drinking. And I expect you guys to, among you, babysit me so that I don't get arrested, and also so that my drink is never empty. And then once I pass out at the bar, you roll me into a taxi, show them my ID so they have my address, and that'll get me home. And here's the thing. Every single one of them that I messaged showed up, even though it was wildly inconvenient. Some of them even living in other cities. Didn't matter. They showed up. I had...
What did you use those people? Like, how many times have you bought them dinner? Like,
enough to
you
show
don't
up.
want a different state and just help you out like that. I mean, those are friends.
Yes, correct. Right. I mean, like, if you haven't noticed, I built a community here, right? Like, this works. But also, things like that only work because you only ever call it in on an actual emergency, right? Like, in the 15 years I've been in Korea, I've only ever called that in once, ever. So that was what I did, was I dealt with it because I knew I was going to drink, and I knew that if I stayed home drinking by myself, that's the recipe for disaster. So let's go out, let's drink with babysitters and guys who I know are going to show up, take care of me, buy me drinks. We're going to tell me jokes. We're going to, laugh, and we're all going to call her names and all sorts of stuff, right? All the guy shit that you would do. And perfect, right? So that's what I did then. And then after that, it still takes a little time to actually process and get through it. But the most important thing that did for me was that gave me enough evidence in my mind of like, right, I'm not shit. If there are people who are willing to come out and take care of me all night on a fucking Tuesday night and just suffer the next day, because I knew what I was asking. They all had work the next day, and they were all going to suffer. But they all came out, and they all showed up, and they all helped me. And then like, all right, cool. So obviously I'm not complete shit. So that means by the evidence, she's shit. Fuck her. Wow. And then that helped me to like...
I like the psychology.
Pull her out of my head and be like, okay, cool. So she gave up somebody awesome for whatever the fuck it was. And I'm still standing and stronger than ever. And then you go from there. Because like there's still actually a lot to process and to go through with that kind of situation. But I needed a foundation of just to reprove my confidence to myself. And by creating that evidence, again, design is destiny. I literally designed the evidence to prove the thing that I wanted it to prove. And then, cool. Now that I have this, I can move on. Right? And so that's how I dealt with that. Now, if you're talking about like smaller conflicts, arguments, things like that, sometimes it's worth a talk to like really nail down what it is. But also sometimes in a relationship, people just get mad because you spend a lot of time together with somebody and you just like, for fuck's sake, right? Because you are different, because there is that little bit of tension all the time. And that tension can build up over time, and it can turn into like, I fucking hate it when you do this and you do that. And it's like, no, fair enough. Like I have nothing to say to that. I agree completely. But also, like, what are we going to do about it, though, right? Because it actually isn't that big a deal. And you just kind of, like, let her get it out, and then you let it ride. Or you talk through it, or whatever. However you decide to deal with conflict, that's a very personal thing, and that's dependent on your relationship, on what it is that she's angry about, on whether or not you've actually done something wrong, or if she's just angry about, like, stupid shit, or whatever it is, right? It depends. But
yeah, another question just popped up in my mind, right?
Sure.
So I went out with a couple of friends, right, for a night out with boys. Basically, we were planning to cook burgers, eat fries, just watch some TV together, make jokes, play and stuff, all this stuff. And one of my friends basically invited two girls, right? They were both single. What I've noticed is that while we were hanging out, I wasn't noticing that two girls were basically distant from the whole friend group, right? Because we were basically all boys. Okay, they were just friendly with this one guy because he invited them and stuff, and that's it. We were actually to our friend's house. We were planning to cook our burgers and stuff. I always saw these two girls, very distant from the friend group. But at certain points, I came to discover that both of them actually liked one dude who was like at the dinner table, right? And this guy barely talked to these girls for the night. He basically had a conversation with them, just those stupid conversation just to get to know each other, right? Nothing too serious. They didn't look too much invested in him. But later on, I discovered that both of them liked him, and the reason she didn't fuck with them, or basically just didn't get in a relationship with them, they both liked each other, but they were best friends, the two girls, and they did not want to date this guy because one didn't want to hurt the other, right? Because they were best friends, those girls, and they didn't want to hurt each other by just making like getting into a relationship with the guy they both liked.
Mm-hmm.
And but what I was curious about is that all this guy was doing is basically just eating. Sometimes he will come back to make small talk. That's it. Then he will go away again. Then he will come back, make some stupid jokes sometimes, and then like it wasn't an invested conversation, but it worked.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, because it's like he gave them the small attention spans of time, and then he retreat. Like I don't know how to explain this to you, but like it was so you will never be able to say that this guy could have actually pulled them both.
So let me back up.
Before you start, like I can like derive my simplest answer to this is that it's simply because he is doing whatever the fuck he wants. He doesn't give a shit.
Yeah.
Oh,
And because of that, that creates this mystery for a lot of girls, which can be very attractive. The second thing I would like to point out is that if you're having a guys' night and someone brings two girls,
Yes.
you kick them all out.
Yes.
So the reason for that is, first of all, the two girls are either all guys are going to try to hit on the two girls and it becomes awkward, or
yeah.
it becomes awkward because the girls have to distance themselves because you guys are going to be talking about guy stuff. I remember from especially a couple years ago when my closer friends started to get girlfriends and bring them to the parties. Like we do a lot of house parties here in Norway, right? And they came up with because they both came into the friend group kind of at the same time. And then the girls, of course, they're going to be distanced whenever we are having a party because it's going to be all the guys.
Yeah.
So they invented a drinking game called Do You Remember When? Because what does guys that has known each other for a very long time, like we have known each other for over 20 years, all of us, right?
Sure.
So it's going to be a lot of stories that starts with Do you remember when?
Mm.
And every time you have to drink. And that they made that rule so that we would have to talk about other things, not to get stupidly drunk, because then they could be a part of it.
Yeah, but don't do that.
Yeah,
Like,
right. So the point is that in this case, it is, first of all, if you're having a guys' night, you're having a guys' night. Simple as that.
yeah.
And then I have to run.
Yeah. That's cool, Paul. I appreciate you joining tonight. Thanks, buddy. I'll
Bye
talk
bye.
to you again soon. Hey, tell Kim I said hi.
I will.
Slam that whiskey. Oh, wait, what was it exactly? What's up, motherfucker? Slam the whiskey and then tell him that that's from Jack.
Yep.
All right,
Catch
buddy.
you
I'll
next
talk
time.
to you soon.
Bye-bye.
Later.
Oh, Jack, I forgot to tell. This is actually funny. in the same night out with those two girls when they came here, you know what happened? Basically, I was at the dinner table. Okay, I actually have kind of a strong friendship with this group of people, right? With this group of boys. And what happened? We were playing Uno, right, with some alcohol involved. We were sitting at the dinner table and stuff. While I was playing, by mistake, I took literally my hand and slapped what I thought would be my friend's butt very hard, right?
Mhm.
But then it turned out to be that
It was
when I
one
turned my
girl?
head, it was one of those girls, right? We were just all of us. If you were there, you would have like started laughing and would have never stopped because all of us started laughing.
Yeah.
Luckily, the girl was flustered, of course, but I managed to say sorry in a very apologizing way, and she took it. She didn't laugh, but because I can guess she was very flustered and maybe bothered by that. But everyone started. It was an incredible night, by the way. I gotta be honest. I loved it.
To me, like the right response to something like that is like
Yeah.
if I tried to slap Antonio's ass and then it was the girls, I'd be like, I know that that's not Antonio's ass because it's way too nice. And then turn and it's the girl. I'm like, man, I got it right. First guess. Maybe next time you should trade seats with Antonio. Don't trust yourself near my hands. Who knows what's going to happen? Right? Like, I would kind of like play into it a little bit. Like, it's obviously a mistake, but also turn it into a joke, kind of lighten it a bit. But to answer your question of how that situation happened,
Yeah, because I gotta tell you, Jack, that guy could have not given one shit about the whole situation because, and also he was the only guy that was basically approaching them on a different basis. It wasn't a strong approach, right? Because basically most of us were thinking about ourselves. None of us, most of them were shy. They didn't even want to talk to those girls in the first place. But this guy just will hop on, like suddenly, just start some small talk, go back, like you said, he didn't really care, and
he
they
was
both got
paying
attracted.
a bit of attention to them, and he was giving them the attention that they wanted. So here's the thing: imagine this. I'm guessing it's maybe like 4 guys, 5 guys,
6 to 7, yeah,
six
six
or
to
seven
seven.
guys, 2 girls. Okay, now normally in that situation, there's a high demand for the girls, but a low supply. So they're used to getting a lot of attention in that situation. But suddenly the guys don't give a fuck because they're just talking to each other. So now all of a sudden they're used to getting attention, but they're not getting any. So now all of a sudden they have a demand for attention that they want, but they aren't getting it. He comes over, he provides a little bit, and then he walks back over because also he just doesn't care, right?
So let me get this straight. You say just that just because they were having no attention and the demand for the attention grew up, when this guy gave it to them, they felt interested in him.
Yeah, like that fed into it. That is part of it. That's not the whole story, but that's part of it, right? Now the other thing is that he didn't care, right? Devil may care attitude. He's like, yeah, I'll chat with you a little bit. I'll tell you a stupid joke. Here, have some table scraps. And then he would leave and go back. Like, oh, okay, cool. So give and then pull away. And then give and then pull away. Hot and cold, hot and cold. Okay, cool. So that's going to add a little bit more to this recipe. Now, the last part to this recipe, and this is, I think, the part that you're missing because what you keep mentioning to me is things like, yeah, the way you're talking about it, it sounds like this is not the kind of guy who normally gets a lot of attention from women. But he got attention from both of these girls that night. So
that's what surprised me.
Right. Okay, cool. So take that first part there of there's demand for his attention or for anybody's attention. He's the only one giving it to them. That helps him. Second, he's hot and cold. He's in and he's out, and he doesn't really care. Awesome. That helps a lot. Now, the last part, and this is where the two girls being best friends comes into play, because two girls who are best friends likely share a lot of similar traits. They likely care about a lot of the same things. They're probably interested in a lot of the same things. In other words, they are very similar in their avatar, in who they are. Now, if he was coming over and he happens to be kind of near alignment with them, if his persona, the version of himself that he's showing that night, is in alignment with the two of them, then they are both likely to like him. So that guy would have either gotten attention from both of them or from neither of them.
And he was lucky enough that he got
because
both
they're
of
very
them.
similar, and the version of himself that he's showing is lined up to who they are, then hey, yes, they're both in for it. So that also brings it back to the lesson from tonight of like, if you're congruent, if you're actually showing yourself properly, you're going to be attractive to the same type of girl every time. Shit, that's something I should have brought up in the lesson. I hope that you guys are still on this from the lesson, because that's actually a really important point, is that if you find that you keep meeting the same type of girl again and again, you're like, but I don't even like this type of girl. But every one of these types of girls seems interested in me, and I'm not even interested. That is a clear sign that the persona you're showing, the part of you that you're putting out there, is attracting that type and is repelling the other types. So you need to start being more intentional with it and planning it properly so that you attract the right types and repel the wrong types, instead of attracting the wrong types and repelling the right types.
Yeah, no, seems reasonable. No, I gotta be honest, that night shocked me because I will have always. I gotta be. I'm not. I don't want to be an asshole, but with all the kind of guys that were there, I really thought that he will be one of the last to actually attract those girls, and I was stunned by that. I gotta be honest.
Yeah. But here's the thing, is that, like I said, if you are presenting the correct version of yourself, Antonio, there's a reason that I've dated models and K-pop stars and whatever else. Like, you've heard my actual list and you've seen some of those girls. It's like, look, none of that makes sense if you just look at her and look at me. It doesn't make sense. But if you start to look at it more through the lens of like, right, what am I showing them? And what is it that they care about? And does this line up? Then, oh, yeah, of course the K-pop singer is going to be interested in me and my music career and my freedom that I have to be able to make whatever music I want and not have to follow some fucking corporate boss. And I don't have to sing Bruno Mars for the 50th time today. And I don't have to sing these shitty K-pop songs. And I can actually write good music, and we can talk about it, and we can go into detail about it. And I can actually say, like, you know what? Actually, how about we like sing some duets? We can write some stuff together. We can do these things. Like, all of a sudden you're like, oh, I see. The overlap, the frequencies are lined up there. So even though she's ridiculously hot and I'm ridiculously not, it doesn't matter because the frequencies are lined up. Women don't care as much about your physical appearance as men care about their physical appearance. It's a complete mismatch of priorities. And so that's why, like, men think if they want to meet better women, they just need to look better or they need to make more money or whatever else. But it's like those are the bonuses. Those are the extras. That's not actually what makes them care about you. They want the aligned frequencies. Now, if you're also rich, great. If you're also muscular, great. But if you're just muscular or if you're just rich, then you can be replaced by anybody with money and you can be replaced by anybody with muscles. So that's why, like, lining up the persona is the actual key. That gets you from
No, I mean
hey.
I understand that. That night I was actually the living proof of what you're saying. So I completely agree to that now. That's for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's, this is, by the way, this is one of the weird things that I've kind of struggled with, because I understand that a lot of people, when they first see me or first hear me talk, they think that I must be lying and I must be full of shit, because I don't look like the kind of person who can give good dating advice.
That's because they have those ingrained like values and stuff
Right.
in their mind that must be
Right.
true or not. Like,
But the reality is that because I don't look like that, I can actually give good dating advice, because I've had to be in the trenches, because I've eaten shit so many times trying to figure it out, and then come out wildly successful on the other end. It's like, right, I want the guy who sucked but then figured it out. I don't want the guy who was naturally great at it. Because the naturals, they can't teach you. They're just like, oh, yeah, just talk to girls.
I mean, the
It's easy.
naturals get the results because they're naturals in the first place. I
Right.
mean, they have it already, right? Yeah, that
Right.
makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I've got a lot of value from this
Yeah.
Q&A session.
Well,
Right?
it's a lot like the old saying, what's the easiest way to make $1 million? Start with 2 million, right? the guys who already have the whatever the thing is, right? Whatever it is. If you're looking at dating, then the guys who are already naturally very charismatic and girls love them and they're very good looking, then like, yeah, of course they do well with women. That's okay. I'm not angry at them. I don't begrudge them that. That's fine. The same way that, like, if you're trying to make money, yeah, there are some guys who are born into families with more money than you. You weren't born a Trump. You weren't born a Kennedy. You weren't, right? Like, that's okay. You can still succeed. You just have to find a different strategy than they used, because they had a different set of tools than you have. But that's okay. And that's what I try to get across to people is like, you don't need the same set of tools as the naturals to be successful. And not just like a little bit successful, but like literally pick your girl. But if you pick your girl, you pick your avatar and you create the right persona, you cannot not win. If you do this thing right and you actually create the right persona and you actually take the feedback and apply it and adjust, then it's literally just a matter of like, right, how many shots on goal do I have? And then the more of those you can get, you will succeed. And not only will you succeed, but you'll succeed very well because you intentionally designed it that way. It's just the nature of the game. Now, you could do it by just going out and throwing shit at the wall to see what sticks. But the problem with that is, who are you going to get if you're throwing shit at the wall? Because you're going to get shit girls, right?
Yeah.
If you go out with no plan, if you go out not knowing who you are, no congruence, no concept of your persona, right?
Another
Just
thing
like,
is that the thing that you said earlier about attracting a set of girls that you are not attracted to,
yeah,
lately, that happens all the time when I go out,
okay.
right? All the time.
Then why? Like, it's clearly because you are showing something that attracts that
Yeah.
type of girl, right? So for me, when I was younger and skinnier and had hair and like all that stuff, right? I found that I was attracting types of girls that I didn't want at that time, which is I was attracting prudes and I was attracting shy girls. Now, I love those girls now.
Right now, same.
But I was, at that time, I didn't want that. At that time, I wanted to hook up. I wanted to just bang, right? And so I had to actually consider, like, okay, cool. why am I attracting these girls? What am I doing or what am I showing that's attracting these girls, but is not attracting the ones that I want to meet now? And then I had to make some changes to my behavior, to how I presented myself physically, like how I actually looked, to the things that I was doing, even the places that I was going. What was I drinking? Because here's the thing. If you're sitting there just sipping on a beer, even if you're at a bar or a club, if you're sitting there just slowly sipping on a beer, you're going to attract the slow sipping girls. But if you're doing tequila shots, the prudes want nothing to do with you. Now the sluts are a little bit more interested, right? Like that's one example of one behavior. It's not 100%, right? Like that is only a small part. But that is an example of one of the behaviors that this choice actually makes a difference, because it's going to attract certain girls and repel other girls. And so if you're constantly attracting the wrong types of girls, then you should look at, okay, cool. What behaviors or what part of my appearance or what part of my actions is attracting these girls to me? And what about my actions or behaviors is repelling these other girls? Cool. I need to flip those things on their head, right? And then you find a way to do that. Make sense?
Yeah, makes sense. But the thing is that right now, for me, every single girl that is getting attracted to me, I'm not giving the slightest attention to them. While the opposite,
that's why. Hold on, that's exactly why. Like it's literally what you just said, of like, because you're coming up to the girls that you're attracted to, but you're sounding and smelling needy and desperate, right? You're coming up and you're like, hey baby, ¿qué pasó? Or like whatever, like needy. But then the girls that you're not interested in, you're like, oh, hey, hi, I'm Antonio. It's nice to meet you. What's your name? It works. Hey! But seriously, like that kind of casual, laissez-faire, laid-back attitude, that is attractive because it shows them that, first of all, you're not needy, but second, that you don't care one way or another, right? Like if you want to come and you want to hang out with me, that's fine. And if you don't want to, that's fine too. Doesn't matter one way or another. That's eminently attractive, right? So as an example, who would you want to be? Let's say you wanted to learn German. Okay, you want to learn German. So you're looking for a German teacher. Now, you have two choices. One is a German teacher who is so booked up that whenever you come in to talk to them, they're like, yeah, if you can fit my schedule and if you can make all these things work and if you can meet the fee, that's fine. I'll take you. But if you can't, it's okay. No problem. I don't care. Or do you want the person who's like, yeah, sure. Listen, anything you want. I just need students, anybody. Yeah, you'll do. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we can do this, right? Like they come across as needy and desperate, even though it's not a romantic thing. It still sends up red flags in your mind because you're like, there's something wrong here. Why don't people want you? There's something that I'm not liking. It's the same reason that like the most unappetizing restaurant in the world is just an empty restaurant because it seems like there's something wrong with it. Even if there's not, it doesn't matter. But just like my wife says, if a restaurant is full and there's a line out the door, then it must be great, right? And whether that's true or not doesn't matter because that's how human perception works. So I
gotta be honest, we're kind of screwed on that. Like humans in particular, like it doesn't work out like logically, but it's just how we're made. If you think about it.
Well, yeah, because your monkey brain responds to other monkey brains. It's like, oh, that monkey ate a fucking coconut. That seems wild. That does not seem like a good idea. Oh, he didn't die though. Okay, and I see other monkeys eating the coconuts. All right, cool. I'm down for some coconut, right? But then some motherfucker turns up with a red banana and you're like, nope, right? So we view things in that way for a good reason, but the truth is that you need to play into that. It doesn't matter if it's logical or not. It doesn't matter. So what? Right? The only thing that matters
That's how it works.
Yes, it is. That's just how it works. Does it get you results or not? If you want, you can whine and complain about it. And that's what, like, most of the manosphere and the red pill guys, they're just like, oh, but women are the problem and they're awful and they da 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 da. It's like, okay, cool. So what? So what? Like, you either find a solution or you just sit around and bitch
play
about
with the system or just stay alone. That's the thing.
Yeah, well, and when you always have to start by playing in the system. You always start by playing in the rules, right? Like, nobody, even Picasso, didn't start off as Picasso, right? You start by learning to fucking paint bowls of fruit. You start by learning to paint fucking flowers.
Only masters can break the rules, right?
Exactly. And then once you learn the system, you master the system, then you understand the rules, and that's when you get to break the rules. Because you actually get what the purpose of them is, and you understand, like, oh, I see how this works. I get how these things work together. Okay, but it doesn't have to be this way. This is just the easiest entry point. These guardrails keep things together. Okay, oh, now I get it. Cool. Now I can do whatever I want. It's the same thing with dating and with relationships, where it's like, I give guys a guide, just kind of like some guardrails of like, look, here are some easy openers you can use in any situation. These will get you numbers. These will get you dates because they're simple. Now, are they the best openers in the world? Actually, fun fact, yes. Like, scientifically speaking, out of the 10,000 plus approaches I've done, yes. Hello, or hi, hey, what's up? My name is Jack. It's nice to meet you. What's your name? Is by far, like, not even close, the best opener in the world. I've tried everything else, but you won't believe me because it seems too simple to be true. Like, yeah. Okay, cool. Neat. Like, I'm sitting here telling you red and yellow is always going to fucking make green. It's always going to make green. You're like, but Jack, I will find some other way to make green. And I'm like, why? Red and yellow will do it every time, I promise. This is the fastest way to make green. And you're like, oh, but what if I did brown and purple? I'm like, you can try. But I'm telling you.
Yeah, I understand the analogy, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, the whole thing is that once you get to a point where, so something like tonight's lesson, the idea of like creating the avatar and the persona and all of that stuff, this is the fastest way to get anybody to success. It is not the only way to get to success. And when you get to a certain point, you do not have to do that thing anymore. Like, if I'm out and I start chatting up a girl at a bar, I can instantly tell what kind of girl she is. I can instantly tell where we're going to be in alignment, or if we're going to have no alignment, then I'm just like, whatever, later. But that's why I was able to date all the different types of girls, is because I've been there and I know how to present all of my things in a way that's going to best align with her. So I could, if I really wanted to, present myself in a way that's going to align with the sluts or the attention whores. I don't want to at this point, but I figured out how to at some point.
Okay, let's say that you actually close a date, right? Maybe with a girl that you first thought to be someone interesting for yourself, Jack, right? Let's say that you don't like her anymore, like in a couple of months from now. What would you do in that case?
If I started dating a girl and I didn't like her anymore?
Yeah, for example, like I mean, you
All right.
will not be. I mean, if you grow like an emotional attachment to her, will not be harder to, you know, I don't know how to explain that because yeah, you don't like her anymore, but you've also known this person for quite a while, and it won't seem right just at it all.
You've known her for quite a while, like a couple of months.
I
A couple
mean,
of months,
yeah, no,
nothing.
maybe more than that. Let's see. I don't know, half a
Like a
year,
year,
1 year.
yeah, like a year. And then, like, look, the relationship just isn't working, right? We're not on the same wavelength yet. That's that's fine. That's normal. Like breakups aren't fun, but it's also a part of it, right? And so that's when you, right, depending on her personality, maybe you offer to like buy her a drink or bring her for coffee or whatever, but talk to her in person, right? Don't, not over the phone, not over text, and don't just ghost, but just be like, hey, look, I got to talk to you. Uh, I don't feel like we're on the same wavelength. I don't feel like we're going in the same direction. This relationship just isn't doing it for me anymore, you know? And don't don't say like it's not you, it's me. Don't like give her stupid bullshit. If she wants to know why, then you can tell her and you can be like, "Well, look, I feel like what we had, it's run its course, it's burnt out, and we don't have the spark that we used to. It's just not interesting to me anymore. And I think it's better if we just meet other people who are a better match. Or you can, I mean, if you really want to, if she pissed you off, you can be like, well, let me tell you why. Because you do this and this and this, and this and this and this. That's not a great idea because she's going to come back and be like, but you do, da, 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 da. And you're like, I know. That's why we're not a good match. So let's wash our hands and move on, right? You have to end it. You can't just sit back
Just
and be
don't
like,
guilt trip yourself into. All right, yeah, understandable.
when I was young,
No,
I
because
would
I
I
feel
would like
like
sabotage the relationship and try to make her break up with me. That was awful, right? It was terrible for me. It was terrible for her, and it poisons them for the future, like for dating pool. It's not. It's just not a good move. Bad karma, whatever else. Don't do that. Don't be that guy. Just be honest, right?
no,
Tell
because
her what the
I
thing
did
is.
used to guilt trip myself in the past. For yeah, I can't. Why am I leaving her just like this suddenly? Like she doesn't even deserve that. Like, but
It's
that's
never sudden.
that's what I used to
There's
think.
no such thing as a sudden breakup. That doesn't exist.
Yeah,
I mean, except in the cases of unexpected death or something like that. Like, yeah, then maybe a sudden breakup exists. But like, dude, every breakup is coming, right? Like, there's always a buildup to it. Even in my last relationship, when the girl cheated on me, now I didn't expect her to cheat on me, but like, I knew the relationship had gone south. I knew it had gone toxic. That doesn't mean that I was consciously aware and that I accepted it. That's a different story, right? Because I was not there and I did not accept that. I was in denial, but that doesn't change the fact that it had been coming for a while, right? And everybody could see it except for me. So, what I mean to say is there's no such thing as a sudden breakup. You're not leaving her suddenly. It's This is a thing that's been happening for a while. Now, if you're clever about it, if you're smart and you actually want to stay with her, then early on, whenever you feel things starting to grow apart, when you feel your frequencies are not aligned anymore, right? Then you should talk about that and try to realign, try to figure out where's the gap, what's causing this. And you can actually maintain a relationship for a long period of time. That's how long relationships work. That's how marriages work. They don't work because both people are just like, fuck it. Whatever happens, happens. Like that's not reality, right? And you don't wake up every morning still just being like, wow, I love absolutely everything about you. Because that's not reality. But it is about keeping that talk and maintaining the relationship so that you don't drift apart in that way.
Yeah, right. Yeah, no, makes sense. I mean, any question? Yeah, thanks for the confirmations, basically.
Yeah, of course, man. That's what I'm here for.
Yeah, I don't think I have any more questions because I pretty much covered all that I had in my mind. But
Awesome.
yeah.
Well, I mean, we're coming up to 2 hours anyway, so I should probably go ahead and head off anyhow. But thank you for joining tonight, Antonio. Special thank you to you, and for you guys, for all of you silent lurkers out there watching the live stream. I can see you guys watching, but nobody's chatting tonight, which makes me think maybe some of you are new. And if you are new, then you can leave a comment under this video, and I'll send you a link to join our Discord community where you can talk with me and Antonio and Paul and all of the other guys from around the world about dating and about your different issues, relationships, whatever it is, and we'll help you out with it. Or another option for you is you can go over to my blog at thesoulplayer.com, which I don't update regularly at all, but importantly, it has a link at the top of the page where there's a button that says community, where you can also join our Discord community. So I hope to see some of you guys inside. And for the rest of you regulars out there watching, I appreciate you and love you as much as always. If you've made it this far, I can't believe I forgot to say this till now. If you made it this far and you haven't done it yet, please hit the like button, that little thumbs up just below the video here. Costs you nothing, and it means a whole lot to me. So I really hope that you will do that. I consider it a personal favor, and I appreciate you watching. So I will see you guys next week. Papa Jack out.
Bye.